Where you pop open an ice cold beer.
Are cart games losing popularity in the collecting world?
Yeah, bud.
Cart games are probably a staple, I would say, for collectors of retro games. I would say that I'd say almost 100% of people that collect games in general have some sort of cart games in their collection. And when I started collecting, honestly, all I collected for were cart games, like NES, Super Nintendo, N64. It's something about actually having that physical copy in front of you, holding it, the nostalgia you get from having it, and even if it was one from your childhood makes it like 10 times better. But I think that's the coolest part of cart games in collecting. Their cover art's also badass, because most of it's from the 80s and 90s, and everything back then was so cool. And then for some reason, once you start collecting for cart games and you get so many and you're around them so much, it's kind of like I told you in my last video, the nostalgia's there for some of them, but the ones that you never played or care to play or anything like that, I mean, that just kind of goes down the toilet after that. And as you know, I go to a ton of conventions, or I've been to a ton of conventions, and I know the trends and what's selling or what's hot. And cart games were so, I mean, you couldn't hold on to a cart game, especially if it was a popular game, let alone find them. But now I've noticed the trend, instead of cart games, they'll sit on the shelf. I mean, PS2 is red hot right now, and just disc-based games in general. And I don't know if that's due to the kids are getting older, so that's what they played, or it is what it is, but that's the current trend right now. Like I was saying before, I never really collected for any disc-based games, but now that I'm really not collecting for cart-based games, I've been collecting for disc-based games, mainly because there's so many to choose from. You can actually find them out in the wild, and they're like a tenth of the cost of any old school retro cart games. And I don't know what it's like wherever we're watching, where you're from, when you go to flea markets, granny's garage sale, whatever, but I can find disc games like everywhere, and I can find them cheap. And like I said, it's all about the thrill of the hunt. And it's almost not a fair battlefield to assess old retro cart games versus newer gen games because of the memory and the graphics and just the capabilities for the developers. So it's not really like an even battlefield. But you can find these newer old gen disc games, and I mean, there's hella to choose from, and there's a bunch of them that are just so good. Even if you didn't have them growing up or whatnot, it's just crazy how many good games you have to choose from when you convert over to disc-based games. The downfall to collecting disc games, in my opinion, is when you collect for cart games, I don't care if I just have I'll always go for a complete copy of whatever, but if I can't find it, if I just have the actual cart in front of me, that's fine. But with the disc game, if you're trying to collect for disc games, I hate just having the game or having the game in the case with no manual. I just want them complete. For whatever reason, I just can't stand just having discs laying everywhere games. I just have to have the nice little manual, the game or whatnot. And usually when you go to Granny's attic, that's what you get. There's always missing manuals or just like a bag full of games. But I mean, you can't win them all. Ooh, Vandal Hearts. That's a good one.
Yeah.
And with my opinion, yes, I do honestly believe that cartridge-based games are losing a lot of popularity, and this stems down to the pricing. You can't find them anymore. You can just get a Raspberry Pi or an emulator and have everything on one cartridge, the space they take up. And the people that were collecting for them are now old like me, old adults that have already put in their time collecting, and now it's time for the new young bloods to come up and collect, and those are the games that they were playing when they were growing up, and now that's the new trend. And I mean, I honestly believe that. I don't know, tell me what you think. Do you think that cart games are losing popularity? There's so many people doing it nowadays that the true collectors that have been doing it for a long time just are kind of backing out, selling out. What do you guys think? There's people looking.
Come on.
Okay, I'm gonna
Hey.
On the count of three, I'm gonna go. 1,
You got
2.
good aim blowing the load or what? That's definitely welting up.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's gonna definitely leave a mark.